I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody: friends, neighbors, family members, co workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
Some years back, I had a friend that I was visiting. Actually, I was sort of staying because I was spending the night. She was having back surgery. And when the person came in to get a blood sample, the technician probably stabbed her about 3 or 4 times, and she couldn't get any blood. And I said, "Do you have to stick her that much?" And the technician got a little flustered because I said something, and she left, and someone else came in who was able to get blood, one jab, right away. And later, my friend Emma said to me, "I am so glad you said something because I just felt vulnerable. And I felt like you were sticking up for me." Well, that's something that is really important, that is needed. I spent about 5 months in and out of the hospital, recovering from a simple procedure where I was supposed to be in and out in one day, but I incurred an infection and was just in a miserable state. Now, I had good care from the providers that were there, but what was really helpful in advocating for me was my husband. He spent the night there. He was there when they were jabbing me. And I felt like a pincushion by the time these folks were done with me as they tried to figure out what was wrong with me. Why wasn't I recovering? And I think it is important to always be there for someone, not just a quick visit and some flowers, but to be there to stand up for them when the different people come into your bedroom where you're staying and you are feeling a little bit helpless because you're in a position where you are not really able to advocate for yourself. And as a parent, this is very important because your child will feel the most vulnerable of all when they're in a situation, they're in a strange place, the hospital bed is not their own, and they want their mother or father there with them when they may be going through something as simple as getting their tonsils removed, or maybe not even an illness, but something is wrong and you have to have your child there in emergency. It is important to remember that an advocate is someone else who has your welfare in they have a stake in your welfare, and they want to make sure you're treated well, you're treated right, and to allay your fears. So, sisters, what are your thoughts about having an advocate by your side when you're in a place of vulnerability at a hospital or an office situation?
Well, I want to mention that there was something that was on Instagram where I live a few months ago about it was a white doctor who mentioned that every time, a lot of times when he would go into a hospital room to talk to the patient and the patient was black, that the person would be on the phone. And he was so annoyed, and commenters were trying to explain to him that a lot of times people are on the phone because they do feel vulnerable and because they need someone to be an advocate for them or at least bear witness. And because of the systemic racism that still is pervasive in our society, we as Black people and other people of color really have to have someone there to listen for us and to advocate for us, because they are still teaching things like Black people are don't have the same pain receptors, and that it is okay to limit how much pain medication that they have, and all other kind of things that are still in medical books that people are coming up and they're learning these things, and it's all racism. And they tend to dismiss your pain, and they tend to dismiss when you have problems. Look at the Black maternity mortality rate. Look at the fact that there are still so many babies that don't in our communities that don't live past the age of past 1 year old to their first birthday. And that's like third world statistics that we should not be having. So I think that an advocate is the one thing that we need to have for ourselves, for our children, and for our parents. Now, Naima, you can speak to this a little bit more because you care for our mother who's 101 years old. And she needed to have someone there, and yet when she went to the hospital briefly, the nursing staff did not want to let one of her granddaughters in to see her. And because our mother is vulnerable in that sense, we wanted, I kept saying, somebody needs to be there with her. It's a strange place, it's different sounds, different smells, and someone needs to be there just to know that she is being taken care of and to let her know that she's not alone. Now, she did say that they were very nice, but she, you know, just bring someone with you. Bring someone with you and do not leave until you and your advocate have all the information that they need. Because what happens is that people will shove a whole lot of info at you verbally and then shove you out the door, and you have no idea what you're supposed to do next.
Well, that is true that you most definitely have to insist on things. Now, when we took our mother to the hospital and they took her back to the room, and because they said I couldn't ride in the ambulance because health reasons or whatever. I guess they had some kind of outbreak of measles, whatever the health thing was. Anyway, so I came in after they had arrived, and I said, well, I need to go back and see her. And they said, well, we'll wait. They'll bring you in after they're done. I'm like, oh, no, I'm coming in now. I need to be with her. And I was insistent.
Yeah.
And so the security person went back and told them, her daughter's coming in. I'm like, no, you're not getting ready to tell me no. Don't make me roll my neck. No,
exactly. We can do scary Black women. We're very good at scary Black women,
but now
even in a Black setting.
But on that note, though, even if we are needing to be a bit assertive, it's always important to be courteous and kind to the healthcare providers. You can't cuss people out and they have your life in their hands. That's just not a wise thing to do. So even though there are stressful situations when a person goes to a hospital, you still have to speak respectfully so that people don't dismiss you as just some raving lunatic and just
that's exactly right.
ignore you. So
and pay attention.
And pay attention to what you're saying. So when I explain, no, she has to be with someone at all times. Now I had to step away, and then that's when, of course, my niece or your daughter, came,
Lorelai,
and Lorelai came, and and I know she's basically doing what they tell her because that's what we have been trying to do. And when I got there, I said, "Oh no, we need to both go in there." And first they were like, "Well, no, you can just go in one at a time." I'm like, "No, we both going. Come on, let's go." I'm not doing it. I understand they have their rules, but there are situations when you just need to take control because they're not always as sensitive to a situation, and they follow procedures because they're trained to follow procedures, but procedures that they're trained to follow might not be appropriate for the situation. So sometimes you have to be a bit insistent, even when they want to give you medication and not bother to tell you what it is. Like, you don't need to know. This is your body, but you don't need to know. No, you have to ask, well, what is this? What does it do? And if your instincts tell you, no, that's not something I feel like I want to have, you have the right to say no. And a lot of people don't know that you have a right to say no.
Yes.
And this is something that we get conditioned to do whatever someone tells us if they're holding the title of doctor or nurse or whatever. And I'm not saying be obstinate, but I'm saying know what it is that they're asking you to take. Know what it is that they're doing to your body. If they're coming in and they're doing examinations, have them explain. I know they're efficient, but it's still your body. Have them explain every single thing they are doing to you. It's just like your car. And I had to get some work done on my car the other day. And I had the mechanic explain everything. Because see, if you can explain it, then I know you know what you're doing. If you can't tell me, then how am I going to know that you really know what you're doing if you can't make me understand it? I'm a person of regular intelligence. You should be able to explain to me exactly what you're doing and why, so that I feel that I understand and I know that this is a necessary thing to have done. If you can't explain it to me so that I feel comfortable, then I understand it. If your attitude is, oh, this too technical, or it's too complicated for you, then how do I know you know? So
not anyone that's saying that to you, whether it's your body or your car. Absolutely. I was very fortunate in having every person that came into my room while I was hospitalized explain to me every procedure, make sure that I understood what they were doing and why they were doing it. I do say that on one of the occasions in my long time of being in the hospital forever, I came into the emergency and I was actually left on a gurney for 4 hours by a young intern, or
maybe resident
or resident, and he was upset with me because he wanted to give me something. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was right then, but I said no, I'm not taking that. And he said, "So you're refusing?" And I said, "Well, if you want to be stern and say it's like that, I guess I am refusing." It was something that I was already getting some form of, and I did not need to be taking another thing. So he was upset with me, didn't show up for 4 hours, and then I ended up having to have another quick surgery because I developed a blood clot in my leg from having lain in that one position for so long. And it just so happened my husband was not there during those particular hours. And so there was nobody there to help me
to advocate for you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it is important to know that being in a hospital situation can be very stressful, even if you are a healthy person, even if you don't know what's wrong and why you have to be there, why you have to have certain tests. And I will say, Laura bless my primary care doctor. She called me up on a Sunday. I had just come home from the hospital after being in the hospital for a week and a half already. And she was concerned because my white count was high. I had had a slight fever, and she suspected that I might have some kind of mass that was inside that had not been treated. She wanted me to get an ultrasound and get that taken care of. And when she called me, she says, I don't usually call people on the weekend because I know they like their weekends, but I am concerned because of this. She told me why, said, I want you to go into emergency and get this checked out. So of course I did. My husband drove me in, and there was a situation that had to be addressed. And I ended up being in the hospital I was so sick of the hospital by the time I got done with all of my stuff. But I will say, because my primary care doctor was on top of everything that was happening, she could advocate for me when I didn't even know that I needed any extra looking after, because I already had home health care people coming in 3 days a week, changing my wounds, checking up on me, making sure that I had enough pain medication, that I wasn't in any kind of pain, and that it was, it's a very different situation looking back on that, on how the people that cared for me really cared for me. And it wasn't just people who administered physical aid, but also my friends and colleagues from church, from my Bible study fellowship organization, people who not just came to see me, but who also prayed for me, provided financial support, were just there for me. Those people were amazing in speeding up my healing process. And you need those people. You
Yes,
need
you do.
people to surround you, to comfort you, to be there to help you along the way as you are recovering. Because one of the doctors actually told me, for every day that you're in the hospital, that's going to be a week of recovery. And I was like, oh, well, there goes my summer. So anyway, uh, it was tremendous, that toll on your body, and they said, your body's been traumatized. You're not going to
Yes.
feel the same, talk the same. Don't try to do stuff like you did the day before you went in, because you need to let your body heal. Be willing to rest.
And as somebody who's had multiple surgeries for many reasons, I mean, I've had everything from, oh my goodness, let me think, fibroid surgery, toe surgery when I had to have my hammer toe fixed after so many years. And then last year I had a hip
When you were like
replacement.
2.
Yeah, my first surgery when I was 2, it was a hernia. I had that hernia repaired more than once. And finally, I had that done recently, or, a few years ago. I had hip replacement surgery last year. And each time it is a trauma to your body. And you have to, some surgeries are easier than others. I'm going to tell you, the hip surgery, went in the morning, was home by the afternoon. They give you physical therapy the very next day. You could already walk up and down stairs before they leave. I mean, it was non-invasive, or not non-invasive, less invasive. Shout out to James Phillips of New England Baptist, also a Black man. I think I've mentioned him before. But the thing is that you have to realize that surgery, even those things that will fix you, is still traumatizing to you. Even if you are having a mass cut out, even if you are having a blood clot cut out, or whatever they have to do, all of those things are traumatic. And you need to have someone who is there, who can say, you know, do not try to do all of this yourself. And I'm one of those hard-headed people. Okay, fine. If you won't get up and do it for me right now, I'll just go on and do it. But you can't be hard-headed. Uh, Barbara, I remember when I had Sarah, and of course it was a C-section baby, so that's another major surgery. And I wanted to get the dishes done. And you like, stop being hard-headed. Go sit down somewhere. I'll get them done. And what do you want to drink while you nurse this baby? And it was and it was so refreshing to have someone who had been through this, and who knew, sometimes you need help even when you think you don't. And a lot of times, and how we've talked about the myth of the strong Black woman. Strong Black women We need other Black women. We need other Black men. We need whoever our partner is, our husbands, our wives, our daughters. We need each other. We need our community. Barbara, you had your prayer community that came, and all of those people help your healing. And that's the whole point, is that advocating for ourselves is advocating for our health, and having someone else have a stake in your recovery, not just because you need to get back to work or
Exactly.
whatever it is, like things like that. People have a stake because they love you and because they care about you. And don't be shy. And this is what we do. You'll say, well, what can I do to help? And that's the question. Don't say, oh, if you need anything, call me. No, you call someone and you say, tell me what you need and tell me how I can help.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know what you need in the moment. You don't know. You just know you're tired, you're sore, you're scared, and you may not know. Give it a few days. It says, okay, I'm going to give you a few days, and then I'm going to call you again, and you're going to tell me what it is you need. Because, just come visit me or just pray for me. No. Do you need your house cleaned? Do you need your hair washed? Do you
Do you need your laundry done? I
do
had a
you need
friend
your
who came and did
laundry
my
done?
laundry for a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, what can I do to help? Can I come and get your stuff and get it washed, or take it somewhere and get it washed and bring
Yeah.
it back to you?
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's those little things that we don't want to ask for. We have to advocate, we have to be willing to ask for the help we need. And that's hard, because even Sean, when I had my toe surgery, which was harder, strangely enough, than the hip surgery, because I couldn't put weight on my foot.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, his idea, I love my husband, he's wonderful, but his idea was to tell Sarah, you need to go help your mother. So
And he may have not felt comfortable doing things that you may have needed, especially now. And I say this to anybody who is married or thinking of getting married, or
to a man.
the thing about it is, this is a person that's got to be sensitive enough to handle your bodily fluids. They can't be squeamish about that. Because
Yeah.
I know when I had just came out of childbirth, and I had to take an enema, I had to do all kind of
Oh,
things
childbirth
that
is
are
is
pretty,
not, no,
and my
childbirth is
husband
not for
also
the
had
weak
to
hearted.
help me do those things. And so if they've only seen you when you got your makeup on and you smell
No,
nice.
that's dating. That's the dating phase.
That's exactly right.
So if you're gonna pick someone to be that life partner, that husband, that spouse that you trust to advocate for you when you go to the hospital, they need to be able to see you at your best and your worst, because they're gonna have to help you through the recovery process when you don't look nice and smell nice and all that. Your breath is not fresh, all that. They need to not be squeamish about that, because
And Barbara, you said this after you had the twins, because you had C-section with the twins.
yeah,
And I had to say this about Sean too, because of my C-section. They've seen parts of you that you haven't even seen.
That is so true.
but that's what your spouse is. They can see you at your best and your not so good.
Yes.
I mean, they can't be squeamish about having to help you go to the bathroom. I mean, because when you're coming out of surgery, you really need all of those things done.
That's
You need
right.
all of that help. And you might not have it, might not be we'll just get an in-home health care nurse or something. Sometimes it's your spouse has got to help. You don't know how debilitated you might be. You might have to change your underwear, whatever. You never know. Because I mean, my husband and his later stages of his illness, I had to do all that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when you're thinking of a life partner, you're thinking of a spouse, thinking of somebody you're literally gonna put your life in their hands. If you ever become seriously ill, if you go into a coma, they got to be able to speak up for you. They got to be able to make sure that the ambulance people are gentle when they put you in there and all that. I mean, they have to be really.
They might be the ones who make your last decision. So talk about it, even if they're squeamish. If one person wants to be an organ donor and the other one doesn't, if that person is the one who goes first, then you need to be able to be strong enough to say, I'm sorry, but that person did not want this, did not believe in it,
Right.
even though I do, and I'm sorry, but I can't do that, and you
Right.
can't talk me into it. The same
Yeah.
way, if you do want to be an organ donor, and I said, yeah, take out everything that you can use, because I'm not using it anymore,
I don't
just
need it.
what I'm not where I'm going, I'm not going to be needing it. But but you also have to say, okay, am I going to be the one who's going to make the decision to either pull the plug, or if you don't want that, okay, hook me up to your car battery, but just keep me going. You know,
But that's a real thing.
that's stolen from that show, Coach. I got to give it to you.
But I
that
got to tell you though, when it comes down to who makes that decision, make that clear. The spouse can make those decisions. Girlfriend and boyfriend cannot. I'm just saying.
and
So
sometimes even the child cannot, even
and
if your grown
sometimes,
children cannot.
yeah, because especially you
So
got more than one and they can't agree on what to do. And I had
that's exactly
that
right.
happened where all four of them disagreed, and they,
Mm.
so they're
Then the courts and all this other stuff gets involved, and you really
Crazy
don't want
stuff.
that. So you
Yeah.
need to talk to your people before it says, okay, if this happens, this is what I want.
yeah.
And and it's one of those nasty little conversations that nobody wants. And as we get older, we know we need to have them, but we like
Yeah.
think it's going to jinx us. Like, okay, if I talk about what happens, we're going to drop dead or get hit by a bus the next day.
Yeah.
No, when your time
That's
is
what
going to go, when whatever your expiration date is, that's the date. It's
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow, or it may be 30 years from now.
Now,
Exactly.
40,
But
50
you
years.
still have to know.
And you have to
Yeah.
be prepared with who it's, and I mean, you don't always suffer your way out of here, because some people think, well, you got to get sick and die. Well, no, you really don't have to, but you
Some
can.
people go in their sleep.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's sudden, no warning, but whatever it is, if you do go through an illness, you don't have to even suffer through that. Make sure that you have people who you trust to advocate for you. And it's not a matter of, well, I don't know if I have enough insurance. Look, if you go into a hospital, they are legally bound to take care of you. They can't have to, because well, I don't know if she don't have the right kind of insurance. They pay slow. No.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
supposed to be suffering in pain.
Haggling over stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and if you go into a hospital and you can't breathe and gasping for air, about to fall out, they cannot be, well, first fill out these forms. No, I mean,
They have to take you right away. But saying that, when you go in,
it's good to
take
have
your ID, take your purse, I always tell people, when you're going to go somewhere, I don't care if you have to take your pet to the vet or whatever, take whatever you need to do to pay, because a lot of places, that's what they're going to ask for.
Take your ID, because anything can happen to you. Always have ID on you. If something happens and you fall out in the street, even if you're just jogging, they need to know who you are and how to contact somebody.
How to contact somebody.
But it's important to have people who will check up on you, be there, advocate for you if you're groggy or being sedated. Make sure, like you said, that you get instructions when you leave, so that you know how to take care of yourself when you go home. I think a lot of times people are released way too early.
All the time.
Drive through. Look, if you've had major surgery, you don't need to go home the next day. I don't know of any surgery where they cut you open and tomorrow you can just leave, because it's a.
But they do a lot of times now.
A lot of times, and that's when complications happen. So sometimes you have to ask, well, is it really necessary for them to leave now, because they're really not ready to be? And then if you've got somebody who lives alone,
yes,
they're not supposed to send you home, and they know that you need care and you're going home to a house by yourself. So if you live alone, have somebody, friend, relative, somebody who can be there with you if you know that you are not in the shape to be taking care of yourself because you've had a major procedure done in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the time we have.
Yes.
So
thanks for watching.
And remember to like and subscribe us on Facebook and YouTube, and share this show, because we want to help you advocate for yourself. Until next time. I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are 3 Black moms. Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.